My name is Kayode Adaramodu, popularly known as Odudu Asodidero. I was born in Ilawe, Ekiti, about 50 years ago, to the family of Chief Philip Giwa Adaramodu, the Ojoko of Inisapetu, Aye quarters in Ilawe. I had my elementary education here in Ekiti State. I went to Obafemi Awolowo University, where I had my first degree in computer science with economics. I also have a master's in business administration, the same university. I started my working life as a software engineer with a foremost IT firm in Lagos at the time I graduated, and then proceeded to Guarantee Trust Bank, where by the grace of God I rose from entry level to top management level of in the position of general manager and deputy managing director of a subsidiary of the bank in Sierra Leone. I left banking in 2011 to start pursuing my interest in public service and related functions. I worked as a consultant to DFID in different policy and institutional development areas. I later joined the civil service of the United Kingdom, where I worked as an economic advisor at the Office for National Statistics, making use of data coming from the Bank of England and other administrative data to advise policymakers, including those in the Bank of England and National Treasury, in managing and monitoring the economy of the United Kingdom. That is that about Kayode. I'm passionate about grassroots development, which brought about the scholarship I secured in 2005 when I was still in GT Bank. I had to resign to make use of that scholarship. I wrote on a topic I said I describe as grassroots development strategy using Ekiti as a case study.
At what point did you become interested in politics?
It's a decision that came not suddenly. It's a decision that came as a result of a very long-term concern about issues affecting the life of ordinary people. And I guess this has a lot to do with the nature of my own upbringing. I grew up in Ekiti here, in Ilawe, Ekiti. You know, going to school was a bit challenging. Going to the farm, leaving the farm to go to school, returning from school, join Baba in the farm, work with Baba, come back home, join Mama, go to the market, sell fish, sell that. You know, it was quite challenging. But one thing that that used to be the gap bridger was education. In the sense that after school you get a job, which was my story. I didn't spend the day to look for a job. As I was completing my NYC, in fact, a job was already waiting. So, and that immediately translated to Kayode having a source of income and quickly remembering where he came from, returning home to take over from where my dad and my mom had taken us to in terms of looking after the younger ones and people around me, and also creating a new path for other people to also have a source of livelihood. I began to do a lot of things back home, particularly in Ilawe, Ekiti. But when I became a regional manager in Guarantee Trust Bank in Abuja, I was supervising the operations of the bank in Abuja and the northern region. What that office provided was beyond the credit and debit of banking. It led me into having direct access to people in government, politicians, policymakers, civil servants, senators, ministers. We either go to them or they come to us. And I began to look at the way processes of government businesses were inadequate to take care of public service. And remembering the story of GT Bank where I worked, it was a bank that came to Nigeria banking industry to challenge the status quo. We want to do banking differently. And when people thought that couldn't happen, GT Bank proved them wrong. So for me, I felt we could do something differently too in the area of public service. So, and that necessitated a further study, which took me abroad to study public policy and management. I said to myself after banking, I would love to go into public service. But whether to go for a political office no, a professional line like the civil service, that was an area that wasn't, I would say I didn't make up a clear decision. But I knew after banking, I want to go into the public sector.
You are just looking for a position that has to do with public affairs.
Yeah.
And the grassroots are very fundamental.
Yeah.
What has been the relationship?
It has been very cordial. And if I would say what is my number one strength, it is that knowledge of the grassroots. It is not just the knowledge, I am part of the grassroots. Even though I live abroad, as my wife will say she has my body with her in the UK. My spirit is in Ekiti. I relate with Ekiti people on a daily basis. When I even call home to discuss things, people say, oh, how come you that you are there, you know what is going on even before we heard about it. I am very close to them, and because of what God has helped me to achieve among the grassroots, I think they see me as one of them that God has given that privilege opportunity to go out there and see, then come back home and replicate. I don't know if you are aware, sometimes last year, NTA in Ekiti was marking its 17th year anniversary, and they gave award to selected Ekiti indigenes in the area of youth development. I was the one they awarded for my contributions to youth development in Ekiti. So I am a man of, I'm a son of the soil. I'm very close to my people here.
Today in Nigeria, many people look for an escape route abroad.
Yeah.
And if you are already outside, you have escaped the rigors of living in Nigeria, why do you take this plunge back into the country for politics?
I would say my story is not like that. Whatever took me abroad was to develop further capacity. In that essay that I wrote that gave me the scholarship, all I wanted was to get exposed to the standard frameworks of policy formulation, policy implementation in an advanced economy. In an economy we could say, this is what we would like our own economy to look like. So it is knowledge that took me out. And what has kept me there, it is still that search of knowledge. So coming back to Nigeria is still in fulfillment of that line of ambition. It wasn't just for me to go there and live. I went there to go and see, return back home and do.
How old is this innate desire to be in politics? How old is it?
If I'm going to give age, I would say it all started in 2004. It was in 2004 when I moved to Abuja. I've worked in branches in Lagos, in Jos, but it was when I entered Abuja that I began to look at public service from a very pathetic point of view. I wasn't happy with what I was saying, and I felt if there is an area where I need to intervene, it should be in public service.
People of the Fountain.